in presentation. You can see it better. Fine. So this anatomy it is talking about the structure of the cells, how the cells have been built, and tissues have been built, and organs are built of the human body. This is an anatomical point of view. It is about the medical language. The structure of the body can be classified into the systems and which have particular function. For example, we have a digestive system, a respiratory system. Then we have what do you call a neuro system, etc. These are all the different systems. అంటే ఊపిరి పీల్చుకోవటము మన డైజెషన్ అనేది ఒక సిస్టమ్ అయితే తర్వాత న్యూరోజికల్ సిస్టమ్ అంటే నరాలు వాటికి సంబంధించి ఉందో కూడా దీస్ ఆర్ ద డిఫరెంట్ కైండ్స్ ఆఫ్ సిస్టమ్స్ and everything have its own functionality. So digestive system it has its own functionality, and respiratory system it will have its own functionality, and nerve system it will have its own functionality. And ఒకటి కూడాను దాని తగినంత పని చేస్తూ ఉంటాయి. To understand the effect of the physical and also the chemical agents on the body, we need to understand the normal functioning of the organs and also the origin systems which these agents target. So before going to this, physical and chemical agents, how it will affect on our body, we have to understand the functionality of our organs, how our organs will function. The systems of human body are skin, respiratory system, cardiovascular system, and nervous system, muscles, liver, kidney, gastrointestinal tract, which is mean by the digestive system, and also the respiratory system. These all will be the different kinds of systems or the functions or various kinds of organs which will work on our body to live. If you see the liver and the GAT defend the ill effects of the toxic substances. Liver and ill effect GAT means the gastrointestinal tract. The gastrointestinal tract will defend the ill effects of toxic substances. Toxic means what? The chemical substances. It will trying to absorb, it will trying to neutralize the chemicals which we have consumed, like even toxic substance. I can say liquor also. Whoever take the alcohol, that is also a toxic substance for our body. So if you are taking beyond the limit, it will affect health severely. And if you see a physiology of this respiration, which means the functionality, the respirator is an aerobic or anaerobic type of respiration. Basically, if we see in our STP operations, there we used to define what kind of process it is. It is an aerobic process or anaerobic process. If you see an aerobic respiration is the process by which the living organisms or their components take oxygen from the atmosphere to oxidize their food to obtain energy. Here what will happen, whatever the living organisms who have life, who have life in their body, or who have living in this earth, they consume the oxygen to oxidize their food and also to get the energy. And anaerobic respiration is the process by which organisms or their components obtain energy from the chemically combined oxygen, and when they do not have access to free oxygen. This anaerobic means it is supplied additionally, which is not available. It is supplied additionally. Sure. Which is supplied additionally. Okay. So aerobic organization respiration అంటే ఏంటంటే మనుషులు ఆక్సిజన్ తీసుకొని వాళ్ళకి కావాల్సిన ఎనర్జీని ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేసుకోవడం. సో మనుషులు అంటే డైరెక్ట్ గా oxygen energy కాదు, but it is a crucial part for our most of the organs to function. అంటే మన బాడీలో ఏ ఆర్గాన్ అయినా పనిచేయాలంటే ఆక్సిజన్ ఇస్ క్రూషియల్. anaerobic means it is a chemically supplied or combined. అంటే కొన్ని కెమికల్ పదార్థాల ద్వారా or chemical reaction ద్వారా వచ్చే ఆక్సిజన్. It is comes out of the result of chemical reaction. There the oxygen gets generated. And many organisms can respire anaerobically for a short term only, but certain bacteria depends entirely on anaerobic respiration. Which means A few of them are depend on anaerobic, which is chemically combined oxygen, but few bacteria, they'll depend on completely on anaerobic respiration, which means it will depend on the chemically combined oxygen. Until unless there is no reaction happens, they can't able to survive. It depends on the chemically reacted oxygen. ఇవన్నీ కూడాను కెమికల్ గా జనరేట్ అయిన ఆక్సిజన్ మీద డిపెండ్ అవుతూ ఉంటాయి. Then respiratory coefficient. What is meant by respiratory coefficient? The ratio of the volume of carbon dioxide expelled by an organism or tissue to the volume of oxygen consumed by it over a period of time. అంటే ఏంటంటే ఎంత కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ ని మనము ఎక్స్హేల్ చేసామంటే గాలిలోకి విడిచాము బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ది కన్జంప్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఆక్సిజన్, అంటే ఎంత ఆక్సిజన్ ని తీసుకొని మనము ఎంత కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ రిలీజ్ చేసాము. It is mean about how much you have expelled, means exhaled or inhaled or exhaled. Exhaled means you are leaving the air from our body. Inhaled means you are taking the air inside your body. And respiratory pigment. Respiratory pigment means it is a substance formed in the blood cells or a blood plasma that is capable of combining loosely and also reversibly with oxygen, which is nothing but hemoglobin. How it will happen? A substance formed in a blood cell or bold plasma that is capable of combining loosely cells. It is nothing but in case of any accident happens, any incident happens, any injury happens, will bleed immediately. Over a period of time, it will get clot. That is called pigments. That is nothing but hemoglobin. Okay. ఎప్పుడైనా ఇంజురీ జరిగినప్పుడు లూజ్లీ ఉండే ఈ బ్లడ్ ని మనము క్లాట్ అవుతుంది, దాన్ని మనం పిగ్మెంట్స్ అంటారు. Muscle contraction and muscular work. This is also one of the part of our work physiology. If you see a muscle contraction, and what is meant by muscle contraction, there are about 200 skeletal muscles in the body. Many consists of a bundles of muscles, each of which is wrapped as to the total muscle. It constitutes the tissue in which the nerves and also the blood vessels are embedded. What is meant by muscle contraction? Basically, in our body, there are 200 skeletal muscles, different kinds of muscles. Like they will be combined like a cable wire. If you see a wire, electrical cable inside the copper, how it is binded, the similar way it will get wrapped together. And some of them it will have nerves and also blood vessels, which is embedded, which means which is inside, which is combinedly together. There are along with the muscles. అంటే ఏంటంటే ఎన్నో రకాలమైన కండరాలు ఉంటాము, అవన్నీ కూడాను ఒకదాని ఒకటి బైండ్ చేసి అంటే ఒక చుట్టినట్టుగా ర్యాప్ చేసినట్టుగా ఉండి అందులోనే మనకి ఈ బ్లడ్ వెజల్స్ నర్వ్స్ అనేవి ఉండడం జరుగుతుంటుంది. The tissues combine to form a tendons that connect the ends of the muscles to the bones, and the only active action a muscle can do is contract, and it is done by the filaments, and elongation is brought about the external forces. What muscle can do? A muscle can do only contraction, which means it will come together. Contraction and దగ్గరకు రావటం. Elongation means expansion avadam. It elongates when external forces happens. When external forces happens, when you are lifting any weight, then there is an external force. There your elongation happens or extension happens. Or whether you are doing any workout, people used to do workouts in gym. So their elongation happens, then contract happens. That is about elongation and extraction. This is the action a muscle can do. What is the muscular work? Muscular work is nothing but during a muscular work, physiological functions change from the resting level and also heart rate, pressure, cardiac output, respiration, pulmonary ventilation, oxygen uptake, carbon dioxide production, chemical composition of the blood and urine, and body temperature, rate of respiration, etc. will increase. What is meant by muscular work? The muscular work means you are working. Maybe you are running, you are walking, you are doing some exercise, or you are sitting and doing any clerical activity like presentation, or like me, how we are doing. It is all about the muscular activities. but it is different than each and every activity. అంటే కొన్నిసార్లు ఎన్నో పనులు చేయొచ్చు, పరిగెత్తుండొచ్చు, కూర్చొని ఉండొచ్చు, వాకింగ్ చేయొచ్చు, జంప్ చేయొచ్చు, లేదంటే కూర్చొని ఏమైనా పని చేయొచ్చు, నించొని ఏమైనా పని చేయొచ్చు. సో ఈచ్ activity will be come under our muscular activity. So one part of the body, anything of the body, based on your activity, your blood pressure will increase, your body temperature will increase, your oxygen uptake, which means it will uptake, which means you will consume more oxygen. For example, you are running. So what will happen? Basically, whenever you are running, you will consume more oxygen. Carbon dioxide production also it will be more. Your body inside the activity will changes. Okay, and they come back to the resting level when the work stops. Malli eppudu rest vastadi? For example, if you are running, your breathing will be very high. You will start suffocating. So once you have settled down for after some time, you will come to the normal mode of breathing. That is all about the similar kind of activity or functionality. ఎప్పుడైతే మనము పరిగెడుతూ ఉన్నప్పుడు మనకి శ్వాస అనేది ఎక్కువ తీసుకుంటామో మనకి ఆయాసం అనేది వస్తుంది. పరిగెత్తిన తర్వాత ఒక హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ 1 అవర్ తర్వాత మీరు రెస్ట్ తీసుకుంటే మళ్ళీ మీరు మీ బ్రీతింగ్ ప్రాసెస్ అనేది మనకి స్టేబుల్ అయి నార్మల్ వస్తుంది. They come back to the resting level when the work stops, and the period during which the work continues to know as work cycle, and the period during which the physiological functions return to the resting level is known as a recovery period. So what is the work cycle? A period during which the work continues is known as a work cycle. అంటే మనం పని చేస్తున్నంత సేపు కూడాను ఆ పీరియడ్ ని మనం వర్క్ సైకిల్ అంటాం. అంటే 8 hours నుంచి 8 hours, 6 to 6, that is a work cycle. 8 to 8 is a work cycle. Or 10 minutes I'm doing my running, that is a work cycle. And the period during which the physiological functions return to the resting level is known as recovery period. For example, once you are given some rest interval during the work, so your physiological functions which is coming back to the normal level or which is resting, that is known as recovery period. అంటే మీ బాడీలో ఉండే వివిధ రకాలైన సిస్టమ్స్ ఫంక్షన్ కంట్రోల్స్ అన్ని కూడాను ఆ ఎక్స్ట్రీమ్ కండిషన్ నుంచి నార్మల్ కండిషన్లోకి రావడాన్ని మనం రికవరీ పీరియడ్ అంటారు. I can give one more example. Generally, if people are working or people are doing any workouts in the gym, they used to say that we need a recovery and proper rest. Then only the body can heal. So we used to say that if you do a chest workout on the Monday, so again you do the same workout on the next Monday only for that specific body part, so that it will give a proper recovery time. Then your muscle growth will improve. Okay, it's about how you are giving a proper rest to your body. That is called recovery period, and the time you have given to come back or to rest your physiological functions. Also, what is the physiological factors involved in the muscular activity? One is the fuel or combustion, which is like, what is the fuel in our body? Basically a fat or nutrients or carbohydrates, what we have. Example, carbohydrates, fat, protein, their intake and storage. Fuel is to run our body. Main is carbohydrates, fats and proteins. Then respiratory quotient, as I mentioned, the ratio of carbon dioxide produced to the amount of oxygen consumed. That is the respiratory quotient. అంటే మనం ఎంత కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ ని ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేస్తున్నాము బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ఎంత ఆక్సిజన్ దానికోసం తీసుకున్నాం అన్నది. Then role of oxygen, which is very demand and requirement, supply and oxygen extraction. Cardiovascular function, which is about cardiac output, stroke volume or heart rate, blood pressure, etc. Cardiovascular function means your heart functionality, how it is beating, whether it's going beyond the limit or which is under the limit or which is in the average. Then respiration, tidal air or pulmonary ventilation, air volume exhaled per the minute, which means how you are breathing. Then body temperature. These are the various physiological factors involved in the muscular activity. One is what kind of food you have taken, how is the respiratory coefficient, and the role of oxygen. Then cardiovascular function, which means heart functionality, and respiration, body temperature. ఇవన్నీ కూడాను మనం ఏదన్నా మస్కులర్ యాక్టివిటీ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు మనకి physiological factors ఇవన్నీ కూడా depend అవుతాయి. If you are not having proper food, there is no proper fuel to your body, you can't work properly. If your respiration is not good in state, so you can't able to work more. All these factors will be a matter while any muscular activity is happening. I will see the physiological reactions involved in the muscular work. What kind of reactions will happen? One is intensity of muscular activity. Intensity means, I'll give two examples. One is two people are there, person A and person B. 1 second, I'll take the pen. If we see the intensity, I can say a person A and person B. If you see person A is running and person B is walking, he is not running. If you see the intensity, he is having a more intense, which means more pressure he is giving on the body. Walking is nothing, he is not giving any excess pressure. And also, is there any defects, or like some people will have handicap? Then physical fitness, how physically fit you are, which is like aerobic capacity, which means how much air you can intake, and heart rate and respiration, how physically good you are. Then nutrition, which is about frequency of meals, how you are eating, the nature and quantity of food you are taking, and also the digestive power, how your digestive system, which is working. Then training, which is about the heart rate or blood pressure, stroke volume, respiratory responses, cardiovascular recovery process, and aerobic capacity, lactic acid in the blood. If you see lactic acid inside the blood, what will happen? You will get all your joint pains. Ivanni kudanu the physiological reaction which will involve in the muscular work. Intensity, age of the person, then body built, any physically challenged or physical condition, the nutrition food you're taking, then training, temperature of the human body of the work environment. Then what kind of clothing you are using. All this will be the reaction factors which will be affect our work activity. Then criteria for limits of manual lifting and carrying. So people we have in the Factors Act 1948, we have the maximum or allowable weight. I think if it is a male, around it is 55. I think female is 35, if I'm not wrong. I've seen very long back. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so how we can limit it? What are the parameters we have to consider? అంటే ఒక వ్యక్తికి ఎంత బరువు లిఫ్ట్ చేయాలన్న దాని గురించి క్రైటీరియా ఏంటి, అంటే దానికి తీసుకోవాల్సిన ప్రమాణాలు ఏంటి? సో వన్ ఈస్ హారిజాంటల్ hand location in front of the midpoint between the ankle and also origin of the leg. Horizontal hand location, which means, for example, a person is here, the rack is here. What is the location between the lifting point? Here there is no gap. It is difficult to grab, or it is difficult to take a part which is inside this rack. That is the horizontal distance between the front of the midpoint between ankle and also origin of the lift. Ankle means, if you see here, this is my ankle position. Here is the body, how I can take it, what is the distance? And vertical location at the origin of the lift. What is the vertical location? What is the height of from where he is handling, at what height? Then vertical travel distance between the origin and the destination of the lift. Vertical travel distance means I can say the levels: first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor. Then average and maximum sustainable frequency of lift. So what is the average and maximum sustainable frequency? యావరేజ్ ఏంటంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఎన్ని లిఫ్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒక రోజులో ఒక 100 పార్ట్లు లిఫ్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు, సో ఫ్రీక్వెన్సీ వచ్చేసి 100 వస్తుంది. సో ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నెక్స్ట్ డే ఇట్ ఈస్ నెక్స్ట్ ఇయర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ వెంట్ టు 1000, that also we have to consider. Load is lifted by 2 hands directly in front of the body, and also no twisting during lifting. So no twisting. No twisting in the sense there is no twisting at all. I'll just lift the job and I'll go forward. No twisting is required. అంటే ఏంటంటే జాబ్ నేను లిఫ్ట్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఎటు తిరగకుండానే అలాగే స్ట్రైట్గా వెళ్ళిపోతాను. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇక్కడ నాది వేర్ హౌస్ ఉంది, నేను ఇక్కడ నుంచి తీసుకొని ఇలా వెళ్ళిపోతాను. నేను వన్స్ లిఫ్ట్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఐ నీడ్ నాట్ టు ట్విస్ట్, అంటే నేను ఆ బాడీని తిప్పాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. The load width is moderate and 30 inches or less. So this also width of the load. Then working posture is not restricted. So working posture ఏమైనా restricted ఉందా? Restricted means what? అంటే ఏదైతే పని చేసే మనం పొజిషన్ ఉందో, నించోని కానీ కూర్చొని కానీ, రెస్ట్రిక్షన్ అంటే ఏంటి? కంటిన్యూస్లీ ఐ హ్యావ్ టు స్టాండ్, దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో వన్ రెస్ట్రిక్షన్. ఆర్ కంటిన్యూస్లీ ఐ హ్యావ్ టు సిట్, దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో వన్ restriction. Or continuously I have to bend, that is also one kind of restriction. Bend and I have to do the activity. So these all are the restrictions in the posture. Posture means sitting position or working position. In what position we are performing the activity. Then put couplings like grabs are applied. Example, hand with handles and also shoes with the floor, which means what kind of things you are using for the proper grip, getting the grip. Then physical environment is favorable. What is mean by physical environment? Physical environment means where you are working. For example, physical environment, I can say I am working in a production area. So here, so what and all parameters will be there? Favorable. Favorable means it is comfortable. If you see an office, here I'll take, it is in an office space, this is in a production space. How you will say it is favorable? Here you will have proper ventilation, light, that is more than enough. If you have an AC, if you have a proper light, it is favorable. There is no dust and all. Here I can say, okay, dust should not be there, that is fine. In production, what and all will be there? Here we have ventilation, light, dust, no slippery surfaces or no fumes, then temperature. All these factors will be coming in the production facility. Okay, all this we have to check. What are the parameters? One is horizontal hand distance, vertical distance, vertical travel distance, average or maximum sustainable frequency of lift, how frequently he is lifting, then load, then twisting, no twisting, width of the job, it should not be more than 30 inches, working posture, sitting, standing up, bending position, couplings, how you are grabbing the job, then physical environment. All these are the limits of manual lifting. Once you are doing the manual lifting, or you are about to do a manual lifting, or you are decided to have such kind of activity in your operations, you have to consider all these points as a criteria before defining any manual material handling. Okay, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనం కన్సిడర్ చేయాల్సిన ముఖ్యమైన పాయింట్స్. ఇప్పుడు ఏదైనా ఫిజికల్ యాక్టివిటీ లేదంటే మాన్యువల్ మెటీరియల్ హ్యాండ్లింగ్ అనేది చేస్తున్నప్పుడు, లేదంటే అలాంటి యాక్టివిటీకి మనం వెళ్తున్నప్పుడు. ఫిజియోలాజికల్ సేఫ్ లిమిట్ ఫర్ ది కంటిన్యూస్ వర్క్. కంటిన్యూస్ వర్క్ అంటే రెగ్యులర్గా చేసే పనిలో వాట్ ఈస్ ద సేఫ్ లిమిట్? It is obvious that no man would be required to work continuously at his maximum capacity. for safe and efficient work of various systems of the body, a safety margin should be established for the upper safe limit or acceptable workload of continuous work. అంటే కంటిన్యూస్ గా వర్క్ ఎవరు చేయలేరు by considering the efficiency of the work by our various systems of the body. అంటే మనం బాడీలో ఉండే వివిధ రకాలైన సిస్టమ్స్ బేస్ చేసుకొని మనం కంటిన్యూస్లీ మనం వర్క్ చేయలేము. So we need to have some rest intervals, and also we need to fix the upper safe limit and also acceptable workload. One is, besides the knowledge of the maximum aerobic power, the maximum work capacity of individual worker, it is essential to know the work limit for sustained physical work for the job placement and also efficient functioning of the workers in a day-to-day work, which means besides the knowledge of maximum aerobic power, which means maximum working capacity of individual, it is essential to know the work limit for sustained physical work for the job placement and also efficient functioning of the workers in a day-to-day activity. We have to understand the efficiency and also the physical workload of the people on day-to-day work, so that we can understand the or we can set the upper limit or acceptable workload. In some work situations, the workload in some tasks are heavy, that the workers are put to undue physiological strain and also consequently result in fatigue. So in some kind of activities, the workload will be very high, so that what will happen, they can strain easily. అంటే కొన్ని యాక్టివిటీస్ లో అది ఎక్కువగా పని ఉండడం వల్ల, ఎక్కువ స్ట్రెయిన్ అవ్వడం వల్ల వాళ్ళు ఏంటంటే ఈజీగా నీరసపడిపోతూ ఉంటారు. The researchers in our countries and also abroad have suggested that the upper safe limit for a continuous work should be fixed around 40% of individuals' maximum work capacity if the physiological fatigue is to be avoided in a days of work, or peak load, even 20% of time of working day should be reduced by mechanization to make the heavy job as a lighter one. They're telling that 40% of individuals maximum capacity, that you can keep it as a continuous work. Continuous work means what? Regularly you're doing the same kind of activity. So based on your maximum capacity, you can keep it as 40% as your daily workload. And also we can make it 20% out of it by mechanization. Like instead of doing manual material handling, we can introduce some machines or any other equipments, so that we can make the heaviest jobs easy. అంటే ఎక్కువ కష్టమైన పనులను మనము కొత్త కొత్త యంత్రాలను తీసుకురావడం, కొత్త కొత్త ప్రాక్టీస్లు తీసుకొని రావడం వల్ల మనం వాటిని ఈజీగా చేసేయచ్చు. దెన్ అసెస్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ వర్క్ కెపాసిటీ చూసాము. వర్క్ కెపాసిటీలో మనము మాక్సిమం కెపాసిటీలో 40% అయితే మనము యావరేజ్ డైలీ లిమిట్ కింద పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. దెన్ వాట్ ఈస్ మీన్ బై work capacity? If you see a test for the physical fitness, the test exercise or carried out of ergometer, stepping test, and also treadmills, bicycle or any running. As a precautionary measure, the person should be medically examined prior to the testing. So if somebody is having any or any stroke or any other issues, they should not do this test as a physical fitness. If you see the physiological test, the step was the step test. If you go with any issues with the doctor, they used to have this test also in hospitals, especially if you have any cardiac issues, I mean heart related issues, they will do this kind of test. In this, the step test was developed in the Harvard Fatigue Laboratory in USA. to evaluate the physical fitness of an individual. It is modified for Indian workers and also described below. How it has been modified in as per the our conditions, like Indian conditions, we'll see. While carrying out the test, a person has to step up and also step down a stool which is 45 meters, 45 centimeters. The thing is, what we do is they'll make a stool which is 45 centimeters. I can take this as a stool. A stool they are using a 45 centimeters height. Okay, which is 45 centimeters. And we have to, a person has to step up and step down on this. The high at the rate of 30 complete steps per minute for a maximum period of 5 minutes, or earlier in the case of difficulty. So what he has to do, 30 complete steps per minute, and he has to do 30 steps in a per minute. And the rate of stepping is regulated by the metronome. Immediately after the exercise is over, the subject to seated and his pulse is continued, counted during a period of 1 minute to half minute after exercise. So once he has done, immediately we have to check his pulse for 1 minute to half minute after the exercise. So that how we can work, if you see the formula, during the duration of steps, seconds into 1000 divided by 5.5 into half minute recovery counts. So for example, I do is duration of step seconds. I can say I can done for 60 seconds into 100 divided by 5.5 into my pulse is counted around, I can say 60 or 70. So calculate what is the result, you put in chat box. Put in chat box. Sixty into 100, that is 6000 divided by 5.5 into 60. Which is coming 18, which means it is very poor. So here if I take 100, we'll see what will happen. 5.5 into 100, which is 550. So 6000 divided by 550, which is 10.9. I think your safe limit should be 50 to 65 is the lower average. 65 to 80 is the high average, and you should get at least minimum 80, the score, so that you will be in a good condition. You are physically fit. Okay. The test score, which is computed from the pulse count taken during the recovery after exercise, is measure of the individual's cardiovascular efficiency and can be made use of grading the men for their capacity of physical work in general or hot environmental conditions. Where to do? Basically, the people who are working in a hot environmental conditions, for them, this kind of test is required. And preliminary function test. So this preliminary function test will be, it is about your breathing. So basically it will be done for the people who are continuously using the mask, and also it will be used for as a any effect have been happened or any impact have been happened to their lung functionality. So basically, this test is a simple test in which an ergometer is used to measure the exhaled air volume, and also by comparing it with the standard average volumes, the physical fitness or any disorder is judged. So it talks about the exhaled air. అంటే ఎంత గాలిని మనం బయటకు వదులుతున్నాము. After inhale, we'll exhale that air volume. How we'll count it. The other exercise tests are also used to determine the physiological load and also the functional capacity of the cardio system, and also abnormalities. Example, an electrical activity of the heart, a cardiovascular disease, improvement after the illness or injury. If you see an young adult, which is 170 beats per minute, has been widely used as a level at which the intensity of the work indicates physical working capacity, which means an young adult, 170 beats per minute, the pulse widely used as the intensity of work, and also indicates the physical working capacity of the person, that is for a adult. అంటే ఒక వ్యక్తి అంటే ఒక మనిషికి యావరేజ్గా మనకి 170 బీట్స్ పర్ మినిట్ అనేది వస్తే దానికి వాళ్ళ యొక్క కెపాసిటీ అని చెప్పుకోవచ్చు. దెన్ ఫెటిగ్ అండ్ రెస్ట్ అలవెన్స్. So the fatigue and rest allowance will be the physiological fatigue is characterized by the gradual decrement of the work performance affected by various factors. So what is meant by physiological fatigue? Physiological fatigue is nothing but the physical fatigue. అంటే శరీరం అంతా నీరసించిపోవడం దానికి సంబంధించింది, which is physical, physiological, psychological, and also wrong working posture. It is manifested by the gradual increase in the physiological strain and also a work of the day progress. So there are various reasons for this. It is manifested by gradual increase in physiological strain. Gradual increase means frequently your workload being increased